Panic is kind of the right word to use right now when it comes to Jeremiyah Love, but we're not panicked about his talent. We're panicked about his situation. What looked like a clear-cut path to, I don't know, half of the teams in the top 10 being a likely landing spot with only one or two maybe bad landing spots. Those landing spots have dwindled down inside the top 10 to these four draft selections and draft slots for these teams. Number 4 overall in the 2026 NFL draft is the Tennessee Titans, and that's who we need to step up and draft Jeremiyah Love to save I don't want to save him, but save us a bunch of heartache and pain, and we'll discuss what happens if he goes to this number 5 overall New York Giants draft slot. But 7 is my ideal landing spot for me. I love the Titans at 4. Hate the Giants at 5. We're breaking all of that down and more. The Fantasy Football Show Graveyard Edition begins right now. File on in.
You're watching a
Graveyard Stream.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Not a fun topic tonight, and there's a lot of concern here. Because if, in fact, Jeremiyah Love does land on the New York Giants at number 5 overall, which you might be thinking, like, why is this even a conversation? I am not paying attention, Smitty. Why would they take him? They've got Scadaboo. This is a stupid conversation. It is a stupid conversation, but unfortunately, it's a conversation that the Giants apparently are having. And you got to remember, it's a new coach. You got to remember, it's a moronic offensive coordinator involved in Matt Nagy. Nagy, like, what did I tell you as soon as they brought Nagy in? What did I tell you? That Harbaugh, the game may have passed him by. It may have passed him by even before the Nagy signing, because the Ravens wanted nothing to do with him. They wanted to get rid of him. It was not happening. He continues to just like Tomlin run. You know, the wheels kept running, but nothing. They were going nowhere. And when he hired Matt Nagy as his offensive coordinator, I rang the panic bell and sounded the panic alarm. And now all of a sudden, ironically, and I'm not saying he's such an intelligent guy, because he's not, that he makes decisions, but he is the offensive coordinator. Why are they discussing drafting Jeremiyah Love? Now, you might say, Smitty, if you were a decision maker on that New York Giants roster, would you want Jeremiyah Love? And the answer is yes. Hypocritically, yeah. But this is not a good day to be discussing this kind of downfall for likely Scadaboo and a competitive environment that will probably leave Jeremiyah Love less productive than if he was in Tennessee or Washington, being in New York. Doesn't mean he can't be a top 5 to 10 running back, but he could be a top 1 to 3 running back in Washington, in Tennessee. If the Chiefs didn't take Walker or sign Walker, then we could have seen maybe Love be that good over there. The Saints were an ideal landing spot because of the way they have garbage time. ETN's going to feed in the third and fourth quarter all the time because the team's set up so beautifully to play from behind but also be competitive. It's just one of those teams where ETN's going to get so much garbage work. Olave is going to get so much garbage work. Shuck is going to get so much garbage work. It's going to be a great situation for fantasy football Saint owners. But this is not a good conversation because there's a real threat that the New York Giants are going to bury Cam Scadaboo and thus put because he's not going to go away exactly, but he's certainly going to plummet down to a near zero value comparatively to where he's going right now, Cam Scadaboo. But the mere presence of this man still being on roster, still being more, I would say, thorn in the side more than Monty reportedly was all those years to Gibbs. This will feel like that situation. This is going to feel like that situation appeared to feel to the people that saw, something that wasn't there. Monty was never a threat to Gibbs. Gibbs thrived with Monty. Without Monty, didn't matter. The Gibbs doubters, it was so weird. It was very uncomfortable. It was like, second-hand embarrassment. Second-hand embarrassment watching people complain about Monty year in and year out. But what people feared of that, what people, when they looked for it too much and they saw it, that actually might be present in the New York situation if you have Cam Skattebo, who's not going to overtake Love. Love's going to be the starter. You don't draft someone number 5 overall and not use him. But Skattebo will be more of that threat people felt like Monty was. And that's not good for Love's value. I think Love would survive. Someone might ask are you saying avoiding? No, I'm not avoiding Love, but the value tanks a lot. Like, people will drop him, and understandably so. And I might like the value that he then sits at by people freaking out, and then we just scoop him up, even more maybe. But I don't want that. I want him to go somewhere where he doesn't have obstacles, and we're playing games of, okay, did his ADP drop too severely and now I like him with the risk? I don't want a risky Jeremiyah Love. I want Love sitting in the driver's seat with his foot on the gas pedal and, no governor on the pedal in sight. No speed limit, or slow your go-kart down, pal. Don't put your foot on the spring and smash it down and go, 110%. This is going to be just an 80% Jeremiyah Love, and I don't like that. It's still going to be very productive, but it's going to be something that destroys Cam Skattebo. So again, if you ask me the football question, would I consider drafting Jeremiyah Love at 5 if I was the decision maker? I don't even want to answer that question because I believe I'm a smart enough individual that I would figure out what to do with Skattebo. I'd trade him. I feel like I could use them right. Will Nagy use them right? The answer is no. So if you put somebody like Ben Johnson in charge of this situation, then I'd feel different about Cam Skattebo Love on the same roster. But you ask me, does Nagy, Harbaugh, that 1-2 punch, if you can even call it that, are they capable of understanding the Love and Skattebo relationship and the tug and pull of what will be two monsters trying to get fed? I don't think they have the capabilities to see this thing through the same way I think some of us would if we were put in a position to try and figure out how to run the ball with Love and Skattebo. Now, we're here with a little bit of a panic twist to this, show tonight. And, I admit I didn't see this one coming because it felt like the Saints or the Chiefs and I think these guys were just fearful that they wouldn't land Love, so they better strike on Walker, ETN, Saints, and the Chiefs, and then it left, less spots. And there's still a very strong possibility that Jeremiyah Love increases his value between now and draft day. It's very, very likely. As will a couple other players like Styles and the guys climbing up the board, ripping up the board. But this is a team that needs offense. This is a team that, Salah's doing really well on defense, and the additions that have come in to Tennessee the last handful of days has been pretty impressive. I like what they're doing. They got Wandell, which I think is a good piece. I wish they would have swung bigger, but Evans, but Evans didn't want to go there. Like, who wants to go there? He wants to win. So there's not much they could have done. It was a pretty decent, attempt. I like Dobbs a little more than I like Wandell, but Wandell's not bad. But that does tell you that maybe they're not going wide receiver. They could, and I'd be fine with that for Tennessee and Cam Ward's sake. I'd be fine with Jordan Tyson. And there's part of me that fears a little bit more about Tyson surviving a non-Titans or non-Washington Commander landing spot more so than Love. If Love goes to New York, he'll take over, and then Skattebo, rest in peace, and that sucks for us. Either way you look at it. Jordan Tyson goes to New York to play second fiddle to neighbors. C'est la vie. Like, what are we doing? So I am almost like, I don't know what I'm rooting for, because I want Tennessee to save the day for both of them, but they can't. They can only save one. Tennessee is a real chance to use this pick on an offensive weapon, because Cam Ward needs to survive. Salah, Dable, their jobs aren't necessarily on the line year one. Okay, let's make that abundantly clear. But their priority number one is to make sure Cam Ward develops. And that's either by way of a receiver or by way of leaning on the run, getting a top 3 potential running back on the roster, and then just letting it ride. in letting Cam have breathing capability, letting Cam have a player that he can dump off to like no other player in the league aside from 2 or 3 other guys. This is a generational running back talent, and it makes the most sense for Tennessee. There's about a 60% chance, if I had to throw an arbitrary guesswork number at the screen and just say 60% chance that the Titans draft Jeremiyah Love right now. And especially given that his value will increase between now and draft day. But it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I do think Washington's fantastic if the Giants do pass on Jeremiyah Love, which, honestly, with all the holes they have, it makes sense to. But at the same time, you ask me, do you pass on a generational talent? No team in the top 10 should. So it is a hypocritical thing sometimes when you got to answer these questions. But I'm not here to answer whether it's dumb for a team that has Scatterboo or whatever to draft Jeremiyah Love. I think it's dumb for Harbaugh and Matt Nagy to draft Jeremiyah Love because they don't think they understand the assignment. That's my take. I don't know what to say here. There's not much to go over past all that because it's guesswork. We're guessing what the Titans do. We're guessing what New York could do if Love's still on the board. We're guessing whether Washington, who, there's still a small chance they draft Jeremiyah Love, but there's a little bit lesser of a chance at this current moment in time. So we'll break it all down. Phone lines are open. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial in. We'll attack your questions. I specifically want to talk about this stuff first. So if you do have a question, hit me with it. But don't just dial in with your big deep dynasty question yet. Let's attack that. Or if you do, let's attack this first, okay? Or if it's relating to it, that's fine. But I do want to hit this at least initially, and then if you have other questions, you can dig into that. But Elgin, you're live.
Hey, Smitty.
What's up?
Remember me and you had this talk probably about 3 weeks or a month ago about how did you feel about going to the Giants? Now I understand from a fantasy standpoint, like you just mentioned, that do suck as far as fantasy purpose, but if you was a Giants fan, would you go somewhere else with it, or?
All right. Yeah. Well, I did kind of answer that. Let me merge Travis in here. Okay. Sorry, I wanted to merge Travis in there. I did kind of address that in what I just said about, if I was the GM or decision maker, am I passing on Jeremiyah Love? And the answer is no. And that's why I said it's kind of hypocritical of me, admittedly. So. That it's like I'm not passing on Jeremiyah Love. Although I definitely think there's a couple ways you could go. But the problem is I don't believe Harbaugh and Nagy are up for the assignment. I don't think they understand what they need to do if they do this. I don't think they're capable of seeing it through the right way. I don't think Scatterboo is Love. I think Love is way better than Scatterboo. I think there's definitely an argument here that Love is the pick. It's just it's horrible for fantasy, and it's horrible that we don't believe we have the right to coach offensive coordinator combo in place to man this outcome and to figure out what to do with it. I don't think they're the right guys for the job, and it also likely gives us, because I don't believe in Nagy, gives us a diminished Jeremiyah Love, gives us a obviously diminished, almost near lifeless Cam Scatterboo. But Cam Scatterboo is going to be so annoying in a way that it's hard to be helpful, but it's going to be, like I said, probably the way people envision that think glass half full. Monty has been bothering Gibbs' fantasy value for the last 3 or 4 years, even though it's not true. I don't know, man. Giants fans, should you be excited about getting Jeremiyah Love? Yeah, but does your offensive coordinator know how to use him? I don't know that he does. So maybe long term this will work out great. I mean, Love, Neighbors, and Dart is fantastic, but what will Nagy do with it?
Yeah, likely too. But I tell you this though, Smith, if he don't get it right, I guarantee you they get ready to play.
Oh yeah, Nagy's on a 1-year leash. Let me merge this call. Nagy's on a 1-year leash. Harbaugh's there for a while. Harbaugh could screw up for 2 straight years and they're still not getting rid of him. Then he could be on a hot seat if he was like horrible for 2 straight years. But yeah, Nagy's going to be the scapegoat. And that's what's kind of the ceiling, or the glass is still, I wouldn't say half full or half empty. It's just kind of like, wavering.
Yeah.
And you don't really know where you because if Nagy does get canned after 1 year or even mid-season, they do something, then maybe it gets fixed in 1 calendar year or less from probably they see it through. They probably strip his play calling duties and then he stays on the team and then they fire him or whatever if things go really bad. But I mean, so dynasty wise, yeah, Love could still have some good value in New York. I mean, it is, when you step back and look at the pieces, Dart, Love, Neighbors, how do you get better than that? That's amazing. But it's like,
about to say that, Smitty. That 3 right there, that could be scary right there.
It could be, but will it be? Will it be scary this year? Let me ask you a question though. Yeah, short leash though, but is Jackson, Dart, Neighbors, and Love better or the same or worse than Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard, and Barkley? And look how putrid and inept and impotent that Eagles offense was last year and for many years. They don't use, like, just because you have the talent doesn't mean you're going to deploy it.
Right. But let me ask you, was it more due to Jalen Hurts, like as far as the quarterback, that the offense coordinator not trusting him, or Saquon really, No,
it was offensive coordinator more than anything, but it's also Sirianni head coach. It's the same thing that I'm talking about over in New York. It's Harbaugh in charge of Nagy, and Nagy in charge of offense. And so it's Sirianni in charge of whoever they have there. Sirianni's only as good as his offensive coordinator can be, which is why Sirianni was, made to be a hero when Shane Steichen was so amazing for Jalen Hurts, gets raptured over to Indy, and then they struggled and they do well and they lose their offensive coordinator again. When Gannon, they lost both their offensive defensive coordinators. Things were horrible that next year. Then they tried to rebound. Now they've got their defense on lock. Everything's good on that front, but we'll see what happens this year. But my whole point is that, like, just because you have weapons doesn't mean they're going to all be producing. Your offensive coordinator situation is huge. Matt Nagy, to me, is one of the worst hires any team could have made. Hackett for Arizona is about as bad. The only difference is LaFleur is calling plays. Hackett's maybe got a parking spot, maybe an iPad. We don't even know what he's going to be doing. Probably trying to ruin the running game is what Hackett will probably be up to. But that's going to be a 1-year short leash thing as well. And then you've got, so I don't know. All I'm telling you right here is it makes sense on paper to have Jeremiyah Love, Neighbors, and Dart on the same team. It does. I get.
And that's why it's not going, because if Nagy don't get the job done, he's gone. So.
Well, from a fan perspective, yeah, but this is the fantasy football show. So what are we looking at this year? No one cares about the future as much, right? Right now, we care about what's going on now. What's this going to be for this year? And then if they do get rid of Nagy, this Harbaugh hired Nagy. Who's he hiring next? It doesn't mean he's going to hire a gem. Like, you just don't know what he's going to do. How did the Giants not get a better hire than Matt Nagy? How? Tell me how. All right, Elgin, I got to go to the next caller. Call back if you got another one. Appreciate you, bro. All right. Travis, you're live. Then I'll go to DJ after that. Go ahead, Travis.
Yes, so moving to the Giants, keep them from the.
We think, yeah.
We hope so.
Wouldn't Scattaboo kind of make it less likely you'd take a running back as well? But we're looking at that. So who the hell knows? Yeah.
for the only way I see is if Reese or David.
Someone's saying they can't hear the callers. Hold on a second, damn it. Hold on, let me fix this over. We should have known that earlier. Let's see. Some people say they're quiet, and some people say they can't hear, so it's always weird. If somebody
It was a little quiet when I listened, but
okay, but you could hear?
you could hear it was just low.
All right, go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that unless a guy like Arvell Reese or David Bailey drop to the Titans, which I don't think they will, I think they'll go Love just because he's best player available. They have good players. They just got Jermaine Johnson too. So he still have a defensive-minded head coach, but I think Salah even understands they need to develop Ward if they're going to be successful. So
it's all about it's all about Cam. Like they gotta protect Cam, they gotta develop Cam, and it's a vulnerable amount of time between a player's rookie year and their third year. Those first 3 years, very vulnerable time where you got to shape and mold and sculpt the quarterback. And so, yeah, if they don't get him the weapons to survive, they could lose him. You know, they could lose all the momentum. He could turn into Fields instead of turning into Drake May. You know, like that's what the worry you have. And I'm not saying that Dart will be better than Drake. I'm just trying to give the analogy of a player that has so much talent that never develops, like Fields, or somebody like Drake May who didn't develop yet, had a ton of talent, and then develops. And then you saw it. You saw the development. So, yeah, I think that, the thing about Salah is he very much, you would think he would just draft defense, but if you go back to some of his drafts, he drafts a lot of offense too, and a lot of offense early. Because he's so good at getting the talent he needs on defense, he allows his offense to relish in the early rounds more than you would think because he knows what he needs. He knows what he can get. And so he needs to make sure that he knows he can dig deep and get what he needs. Whereas the offense, he needs to make sure his offensive coordinator, his offensive coaching staff, and the offense itself have the pieces they need. And if he's got to correct the way he disperses, the picks and the financials to make sure that that's covered, because that's not necessarily his wheelhouse, he'll overdo that side of it. So I really do believe that it will be all about Cam Ward. But like anything, we can't predict it, right? Because we thought that we'd have 7 teams practically wanting Jeremiyah Love in this top 10. And they do. I mean, I'm sure KC loves him. I'm sure the Saints love him. But the unforeseen of the Saints and KC and the Cardinals grabbing Walker, Etienne, and Algier put a wrench in the situation. And that's saying it lightly. Like this is definitely a crazy, crazy situation. As you said the other night, hopefully another team gets into the mix and trades into the top 10. That is a team that needs a running back that now gives us another option. But I think it's 60% chance the Titans save us here. I really do. I hope the Giants don't get a chance.
But if you do want to talk glass half empty with the Titans, one, defensive head coach, so he could just have his eyes on a defensive guy and go, I'm picking 4, I love this guy. 2, they have the 35th pick. So if they love a Price or Washington or Coleman or anything, they could say, well, we're happy taking that. Or they could be happy with Pollard. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's, like you said, it's hard to predict. So I think 60% is, probably safe because he's going to be the best available player probably. And a running back that can do it all like he can is so valuable to a young quarterback.
Yeah. Hag, appreciate you over on the Rumble side of the fence, my boy. Thank you, Mikey. Mikey in the building. Aldi in the building. Appreciate all you guys over on Rumble. I agree, Travis. I agree with all that. I again, highly likely that the Titans are wavering on this, and they're 60%, my opinion anyway, leaning. It's just a guess, and I think the Giants are probably 50-50 because they have so many holes. How could you not be? How could you be 100% on anything you're playing? You're literally going to be. It's just like any one of us that are in a fantasy draft and you have like holes on at the wide receiver position, the quarterback position, the running. You're not like locked in on anything. You're waiting for the board to fall, and then you're like at the last second making a choice. Commanders scare me though. Bringing in Rachaad White feels very much like, I don't know. I'm not sure what Washington's thinking. I hope if Washington, just like I said this about New England, not getting AJB or forcing a BTJ trade by offering something that the Jaguars were sure to accept, that's a big L. And we still have the AJ Brown sweepstakes going, so maybe the Patriots end up pulling it off. But the Patriots exit the offseason without BTJ or Dunze, which is now off the table. So BTJ or AJB, big L. Big L for the New England Patriots. Horrible L. The Washington Commanders better draft Jordan Tyson, Carnell Tate, Kenyon Sadiq, or Jeremiah Love. If they don't take one of those four weapons to do the same thing we're talking about the Titans trying to do with Cam Ward, develop him. If they don't take one of those four monsters, Tate, Jordan Tyson, the top two wide receivers, Sadiq, top 3-4 tight end of the future, potentially, or Jeremiah Love, top 3 running back of the future, they crap the bed royally at number 7 overall because it's all about JD5 at this point. You have to support him. Rachaad White's not going to get it done. He's decent, no doubt about it, but he's not going to get it done. Bill, they don't trust him at all, so I don't worry about that at all. And McLaurin is an older player that could suffer injury at any minute. So if they don't get a proper weapon, especially losing Debo, which makes me think it's the receiver more than anything, then I'm very disappointed in not only the Commanders, but in a GM that I've talked up a ton, and I still like him. I still will like him, but I'll be very disappointed in Adam Peters if he doesn't see the offensive desire and need here. Now, let me go to Travis one more time, then over to DJ.
No, go ahead to DJ.
All right, DJ, you're live.
Best show on the planet, Smitty. What's up, Travis?
What's up?
Quiet. Nagy?
It's awful.
Nagy. So, Giants, my opinion, in that spot, I think it's smoke. Now, I always say Travis is my guy, but I don't guy, right? So I might have a little bias there, but yeah, I think it's the smoke in terms of trying to see who might want to jump up and get 5. That's not saying that the points are valid. I definitely agree. Like I said, I have a little bias, so I'm going to say half fast, half full. But they would do better in trading out. And I think that's also what may happen at Commanders. What, Travis? I think what are they, 5 picks in this draft here?
6 picks, but they don't have a second or a fourth.
Right.
I mean, real quickly, not disagreeing with you, but I'm mainly interested because I want to hold on to something tangible here. What makes you think it's smoke that the Giants are drafting Love, aside from just the guess of it? Like, do you have anything that makes you believe that?
Just best player on the board. Best player on the board, naturally in terms of generational running back, regardless of how. But, you're building a team. You have Tracy, who I think they restructured, and he's not Love either. But the receivers that are on the board from that 4, that 3 down to 10, 12, be it Lemon, choose your poison. Both, I think, Giants and Washington, in particular, Jeff Bethel and Washington, would move back to get more picks. I get your point about Bill, and I think Washington is going to also draft a running back later. But the Giants is smoke, just very simple because they're building a team. You have I don't know if Nagy's running philosophy is like what ball is, but run the ball. They're going to run the ball. need to check down. Scat does already check the ball. So I think it's just smoke. If they can't get what they want to get, okay. But
I agree.
they're in the prime spot, right? If Titans pass, they are in the prime position to get a boatload.
Yeah, I think that's logical.
But
my problem is I don't believe Harbaugh's logical. That's my fear.
Yeah, Harbaugh's lost. Harbaugh's been lost for a while now. The Harbaughs are kind of out there. I'll tell you that right now. I do hope that look, Mike McDaniel, no matter what Harbaugh hasn't done yet, or what, like Mike McDaniel can fix that. Look at Ben Johnson with Campbell. So I'm not worried about the Chargers. But Harbaugh, I mean, we already wondered if the game passed him by. To hire Nagy as your offensive coordinator when you have such an attractive landing spot, it makes me think. Oh, I don't know. It makes me think that how can I not trust my instincts that the game may have passed Harbaugh by when that's his first decision? And now we're hearing right after that a lot about the Giants drafting Jeremiyah Love. And so for that, let me merge Rock out in real quick. For that alone, there's too many things lining up already consecutively that prove that Harbaugh might have the game passing him by. There's two things in a row that starts worrying the hell out of me. And maybe it is smoke. It certainly could. But I don't know, DJ. The reason we're here is because we're hearing so much of it. And then I don't know. Like, it's hard to even trust what you see out there right now, and I haven't had a chance to personally validate it. So Travis, I don't know if you could dig real quick on it, but wasn't there a post today or a tweet from Jeremiyah Love, or someone it might be AI, that Jeremiyah Love did something with liking a New York post, or did something about New York? I don't know what it was.
You can look it up.
Yeah, see if you can find it.
The other thing is that there's reports too that the Giants were in on Walker and ETN. So
DJ, that's another reason why that's a good point, because I was thinking that, but I wasn't conveying it yet. Is that it's not smoke and mirrors that they were interested in a running back. Like, that's already been known. So like now they're leaning toward the next highest ranked player available to them because Walker and ETN are gone. I mean, that makes me feel like it's not smoke. Could they still go in a different direction? Sure. But that makes me feel like it is not smoke. I just think it's wishful thinking that it's smoke. Now, hopefully it's more 50-50 or 40% likely or whatever that they're going to do it because he's a rookie maybe or something like that. And if they're the kind of team that can't understand what they've got in front of them or the holes they have or how to navigate it, then they're certainly a team that could botch it and not take them. Because again, hypocritically, would I pass on Jeremiyah Love because I had scat? It feels wrong to be doing this live stream with the aggressive tone and nature of the way I'm talking about it, and then come out and tell you that I would draft Jeremiyah Love, because I would. And I know that sounds crazy, but I also feel like I'm equipped enough to figure this out. I'm equipped enough to use both of them. I don't think Nagy's proven a single bit that he's equipped to even handle one of them, let alone both of them. So it's a different angle. Number two, I would actively look to potentially trade Scatterboo, which might be hard. And if you can't, then yeah, Scatterboo would unfortunately probably go to the back burner, because Love's not going to go to the back burner. So the problem I have is I'm willing to accept that. Scatterboo is so crazy the way he runs anyway. Maybe 2 or 3 years from now, he's not even healthy or whatever. So I'm willing to let Scatterboo fall, and not look back. Problem is, are they going to ruin Love's next 2 years with this Nagy experiment and them trying to figure it out? That's the problem I have. I'd be willing to accept that if I knew for certain that Love enters the equation, goodbye Scatterboo. And I knew that that's the way it was going to have to be. Then I would feel comfortable and I could say bye to Scatterboo, or hope that they trade him or whatever. But I have a feeling they're going to ruin both of them. That's I don't have it may not happen, but I have a fear that they will. I'm still going to draft Love. I don't know if I could draft him at the same clip.
Well, in that case, it's probably a moot point, because I agree with you 100%. The Harbaugh this Nagy thing. Why? Nagy? You have a potential franchise quarterback, or what is a franchise quarterback, as if we're talking about surrounding Ward. We have to say the same thing about Dart, and you couldn't get a better, in my opinion, OC. Not only that, Munson was like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
So, you're right. When they draft him, could be, demise of both of them in terms of the short term. When I say both of them, Scat as well as Love. But even if they had capable OC, which brings me to Washington. If they do draft Love, I'm going to lean into the idea that the system that the OC, the QB that used to play for Detroit, they kind of fast track. Is setting up that type of system. Montgomery, Bill, Montgomery role, whatever, and Love. I would have more confidence in them being able to use them the right way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We'll see. All right, hold on, DJ. Let me go. Yeah, let me go around the phone line real quickly. I'm putting some of your comments on screen here to see what you guys think. You have Roman, offensive coordinator for the Ravens, as the run game coordinator. He's not the run game coordinator, Pete. He's an assistant. We don't know what he's gonna be involved in. All right, let me go over to Rock. Rock out. You're live.
This is your boy Blue.
Huh?
I think we need the Titans to take him so we can take that out of question, and I think Washington go like wide receiver. He gets to 5, I probably would take him.
Yeah, well, just gotta hope Titans step up. And to Ray G's, Ray G, you had talked about, maybe trading Scatterboo for Buka, which I would do. And Rock out, mute yourself if you could. I got a little reverb, and then hold on, I'll go right back to you. I would do that anyway, so regardless. But be careful not to. We might see the Giants not have Jeremiyah Love through a couple different avenues. So don't get crazy and do something wild. But definitely would take a Buka right now for sure. I love Buka. Buka could be a top 6 to 10 wide receiver this year without much effort. All right, go ahead, Rock out. What else you got? Hello.
Go back to DJ.
Okay. Well, let me go. Travis, did you end up finding if it was real or not that he liked the New York Giant landing spot post or something?
Look, I don't see anything.
Okay.
I don't know. Another thing I was going to say though was not that he would stop them from drafting a Jeremiyah Love or anything, but the Commanders just signed Jerome Ford earlier today. I think it's a cheap contract, but it's just another decent piece that kind of lets people know that they're probably not taking a run back early.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Man. This can be a mess. Hopefully not. But
yeah,
Titans can save the day. Thank God the Titans are not drafting after New York. At least we have one team standing in the way of New York getting them, and then maybe somebody trades up, and who knows. But again, what Travis said is very, very true as to why I don't think this is smoke. It's just a matter of will they pull the trigger. Is you have the interest in the top 2 available running backs, Etienne and Walker. That is frightening. That's been their number one potential offseason desires, to fill the running back room with that kind of running back. Like I said, and any other coach, I might be like, look, it's logical. It sucks, but it's logical. The Cardinals at number 3, could they still take them? Knowing the Cardinals, I'd say no. Is it possible? Anything's possible, but it does not feel likely. Cardinals kind of, I feel like, made their bed. Plus the bringing back of Connor on top of Algier. If it was just Algier, you might be able to argue it. But I think with them restructuring Connor, and then they've got Benson, and then now they have Algier getting borderline low end, like bottom of the league starter money. But it is, flirting with it. It's like the Cardinals are probably out.
Sticking with Brissett, they either need to keep building the defense, or they're in a spot they can take the best tackle in the draft.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. T Rose says Rashad White, same side. Look it up. I don't need to look anything up. T Rose, you go look it up. Go look up whatever you want. Well, I don't know, boys.
Yeah, I think that what Washington is doing, and Rock Out, that's his team, right? That's his squad, right?
Yeah, Rock Out.
Yeah.
And I think Rock Out was hoping that he wouldn't be there because they take him. But I guess the question is, who, and we've done this exercise, but it's relevant again, who would trade up? Because
Me.
all of those teams in that top 5 can easily snap them up. Who would trade up? Because again, I'm erring on the side of trading out, especially Washington. You get that white, like Rock Out was saying. What do you think, Rock Out? If they want,
Big minutes played possibly, as far as a team on top of my head.
Yeah.
No, they signed Aaron Jones. I think they probably could or want to trade up if possible, depending on where they are.
yeah.
Pete, real quickly, Pete, you're wasting my time. You're wasting my time. Stop with this nonsense. I've already addressed this. I don't need to look anything up. This is what I do. Hold on. Let me screenshot this for you, Pete. Here you go. Senior offensive assistant, Greg Roman. So stop, because what you're saying is not true. You keep saying it over and over. It's not going to make it true. So now you can take that and say, well, it's good enough. Like, he's not the run game coordinator. What's going on with BTJ? Nothing right now, Kiko. No one's offering a bold enough trade to get it done. I guarantee you if they did, he'd be gone. But no one's doing it, so they're not looking to trade him. They're not looking to trade him. Someone has to come knocking on the door, and they will get rid of him. They will send him packing. All right, go ahead real quick. Sorry, DJ. We probably won't be here too much longer, so I'll let DJ give his final thoughts, wrap it up. Nice little bow.
Yeah. So hopefully, Titans will take Love. I mean, it just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Salah, and I think Travis was speaking for in terms of the free agents that they're bringing in, that defense. Yeah. Let's hope Titans are there. And they have Dable there, right? So we would hope, I don't know how this is going to work, but yeah, I would have preferred Dable, in Giant territory or something. But anyway, or even maybe in Arizona. Arizona is tanking. I don't know what they're doing. And that's my final thought. Man. Best on the planet.
Thanks, DJ.
Thanks, Rob. Later, Rock Out Squad.
Thanks, man. Go ahead, Rock Out. Final thoughts. Wrap it up in a bow and send us on our way.
What's your feelings on the running back?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm a little worried about that. I will say. I mean, RJ Harvey escaped the free agency pretty well, but they were looking, just like the Giants were looking at Walker, ETN. You got to think there's some remnants of that, and then Denver's going to wet their beak in the draft. Hard to say for sure. Really hard to say. We got gifted memberships from Let's see here. Romario dropping 5 gifted memberships. Romario to the motherfucking moon. Husseini dropping a $20 hauler.
Alert. Super chat alert.
I smell meatloaf. Hey, Ma, the meatloaf. I got the old chair back in, if you noticed. You can't do it. It's so hard. I will say my back still hurts, so I'm like wondering, did I get rid of the good chair for nothing? But I can tell you right now, I already feel better. And just, there's so many things that bother me. Changing chairs is tough. It really is. There's so many things you get used to. All right. This one here from Husseini. KC beat writer saying Chiefs targeting Tate or edge rusher. If Tate is there, they'll take him. If not, the edge rusher. How much stock do you put in that for fantasy? I don't want Tate to go to KC unless there's a problem.
Unless Rice is gone.
Unless I'd say Houston. There's KC. There's a problem. If there's a problem, then otherwise they don't want Tate to go there and be in a crowded room. I think for you as a fan, you should be ecstatic about it, but it's also going to be hard to elevate him to his highest potential in that situation. But then again, it's like, let's think about it logically. Like Travis, I mean, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being he's amazing, will be the best thing ever, will be stay out of trouble, be 1 to 10 that Rice is going to be reliable over the next 2 or 3 years. I mean, he's got such a bad track record that maybe Tate is going to be amazing in 2 or 3 years from now.
Like, well, here's the thing. I'd say like 5, because to me it's like a 50-50 shot. With
yep.
And then I don't think, unless he plays at an amazing level and stays completely out of trouble and nothing comes from this situation, I don't think he's getting a second contract.
Yeah, this contract. I mean, that's such a big piece of this. Is if he delivers a big season, then they're going to want to keep him. If not, he's a free agent in 2027, unrestricted free agent. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, you know what? On that note, I'll say
a little more possible.
Yeah, you know what? On that note, I'm going to say that Travis is right. That is a good point. I think I'll be okay with it. It definitely could be something that later on looks amazing. So I'm fine with it. What's the idea of it? The likelihood of it happening? There's been rumblings about it all offseason that they like Tate. They haven't talked much. We haven't heard a lot of people speaking for the Chiefs, right? Because who are they going to tell what they're not going to telegraph it. But we've been hearing a lot of Tate, very, very little Jordan Tyson. So I'd be fine with it. I think it could be potentially a year or maybe longer if they retain Rice and I don't mind it. It's a pretty good landing spot at the end of the day. You know, I think much like the shocks of Gibbs going to Detroit when it happened, I think sometimes the situation seems a lot cloudier than it really is, and then the clouds move and you're like, oh crap, it's actually really good. So Tate to KC would be okay. I'd Smitty approve that, actually.
Kelsey is retiring too, so depending what they do at tight end, you know, unless they take a Sadiq or something, the level of pass catcher.
Yeah, quietly, it's a good spot. Yeah, I like it. But there is a risk, though, that Rice does well. They extend him, and then Tate's held back, though. There's still that possibility. It's in play. It's not like it's guaranteed that Rice is going to screw up, but that's why I asked Travis that question. 10-1. 1 being he's a bum. He's going to get injured or in trouble, or this situation he's currently dealing with now is going to knock him out of play. 5 is what Travis said. I would say I couldn't go above 5. I love Rice. I love him. And I feel like in 2026 drafts, I'm feeling pretty good about taking him, like where he's falling. Sometimes like the 4th round. I got him in the 5th round the other day in a best ball. Very unusual. But, I mean, I don't mind that, but you're baking in a lot of risk. But if we were doing a dynasty draft right now, I'd be really worried about using my 3rd rounder on Rashee Rice. You know? And even when I got to the 4th round, I'd look around and just say to myself, like, who else is here? that I need to look at. I wouldn't just hit the button automatically and say, "Oh, Rice will be fine." I don't know that he will be. When you're starting a dynasty draft or a league, or you're trading in an existing dynasty league, you're putting a lot on the table and a lot on the line by going and getting Rashee Rice, because you could be left at the altar immediately.
He feels like a really good fit to the Chiefs with the offense they run. I know they had Tyreek in the past, but by a guy like Rice, they don't need guys who run good routes and guys who catch the ball, which Rice actually had a little issue with here and there in clutch moments. So, feels like he'd go really well with Mahomes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could be good. It could really be good at the end of the day. There's a little risk there. You got risk involved. Like the risk of Rice doing well, getting the extension is present. That's a present risk. And if Rice blows up, I will all agree Rice should be extended. We're not going to be, if Rice has a top 5 or 6 fantasy season, we're not going to be, and Tate ends up being, I don't want to say Matthew Golden, but like he ends up being relevant, but like not, remember how much we loved Brashard Smith. Remember how much we loved, what other wide receiver was like, Harris, Trey Harris, lots of upside. I mean, he really could have been. Could Tate just end up being that level of production like a rookie? Andy Reid hasn't been using rookies like we think. Look at both the wide receiver and running back rookie prospects they had on this roster. Brashard Smith specifically, we loved him. And every week, Reid would tell us some, fable, some total fake news story about how Brashard Smith would be bench pressing buses on the field the next week. Like he'll be out there destroying 7 touchdowns Brashard Smith will have. And Brashard Smith never got tuned up to go for a spin. Like really didn't at all. So I love Tate though. Tate doesn't drop a single football. Comes from, wide receiver university. There's just so much to like about him. He reminds me of Chris Carter. Love the guy. So if he did land with Patrick Mahomes, there's no way that doesn't end up very well. Like you're getting T. Higgins in a sharing situation at most. And even if Rice did get a second contract, my question's still valid. Let's say he does really well this year, gets a second contract. What are the odds that Rashee Rice is relevant 2 or 3 years from today? Even with an extension. There's still even if he got an extension, Travis and I might go to a 6. We might be like, yeah, 6 out of 10 now that there's a financial commitment, but this guy could go out and screw it all up. So Tate's not.
To be sure, if you're paying him 25, 30 million plus, that they have things written into that contract that if you screw it up, this void. They're going to have voids written into that contract if it's passed. They'll have something to protect.
I love Tate. I love Tate.
Be able to do that.
Tate and Jeremiah. I'm sorry. Will love Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love, Tate, and Jordan Tyson and Sadiq. They're just all different. And anybody that doesn't see this, I feel bad for them. But these are the monsters. Tyson, Tate. I'm going to put Sadiq on screen too. These are the monsters. I'm not saying that, like a Jonah Coleman can't be really, really good somewhere and give us what we expected and should have really been given either from Bill or Woody Marks. I mean, those guys were ready, but the teams didn't. But these guys right here are the guys. There's just no debating it. Tate is amazing. Tyson's amazing. Sadiq's amazing. These are all potential top. I'm not going to say Tyson and Tate are both top 10 wide receivers, but they very well, one of them should be a top 10 to 12 wide receiver. And it might be 5 to 10, but just top 10 to 12 for the future. One of them will be. Not saying they both can't, but let's be, objective. And Sadiq, top 5 tight end, capable of top 3. Love top 3, top 5 running back, capable of top 3. These guys could infiltrate the top 10 at their position very easily. All right. Who else is on the phone line? Let me see. Rock out. Final thought. Then Travis, final thought, and then we're out of here. Thank you, Husseini. And go ahead, rock out.
With wide receivers are healthy, we Wilson.
We don't really have a good sample size of Brissett and MHJ. So while it's easy to like blindly be like, oh, he liked Wilson and he won't like MHJ, we don't have that data. But we also don't have the numbers, at least consistent enough or enough of a sample to say that, oh, Brissett will connect with MHJ as much as he did Wilson. I think with Brissett, the quarterback in Arizona, which is the case right now, and they've pretty much confirmed that, which it's ridiculous that we can't get them to say it, I guess, with confidence, but I just don't understand why the whole world is also questioning it. Like, Brissett was amazing. I just don't understand it at all. But with Brissett almost guaranteed to be the guy, I mean, why would anything change between Michael Wilson and Brissett? That's his boy. And MHJ, I'm indifferent on. I'll own him in less than 10% of leagues. I'll have shares for sure. Best ball, probably. I don't know that I would advise anybody to draft MHJ in a home league, in a non-best ball, unless they, you showed me the board and I'm going, yeah, okay. Yeah, and like it'd be one of those like revelations where I'm like, pretty good value, actually. It'd take a fall, to that kind of spot. In general, I venture to say I could always find 2, 3, 4, 5 guys above and below right around MHJ's ADP that would allow me never to draft him and not even worry about it. Even if I'm wrong, the player I take will be as good or better. But I am not down on him because how can you be? He's already at the bottom. Like his values look pretty low.
Yeah.
But, his ADP is probably, I at the same time I say that, I'm sometimes shocked at where his ADP is. So it's kind of like one of those things where you're thinking two things at the same time. Like, how could he screw up from this ADP? And then sometimes you're like, well, that's high or that's low. The rankings for MHJ, if I pull up the Underdog ADP right now, for those that don't know, Underdog, you can do a $10 big board right now on Underdog, promo code Smitty. And the first place prize is, I believe, $200K. So get on over there and draft. We probably won't draft tonight, but maybe we'll draft tomorrow. But looking at it, MHJ, guy was a top 15 overall pick last year. Scrolling. 64 overall. And that puts him at wide receiver 32. Above him, BTJ, Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, Watson. Below him, DJ Moore, Jordan Tyson, Parker Washington, DK Metcalf, Michael Wilson. How is Michael Wilson going below several spots? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 spots below MHJ. That part I don't understand. So that's where I look at it and I say, okay, maybe when I say something like, hey, how it's only up from here, and then I look at his ADP one moment, I'm like, wait a minute. Now, actually, it is still too high. I don't know. It's a mind game, bro. It's a mind game from a guy that was supposed to be as good as any receiver to come out of college in the last 10 years. And I still believe that there's a lot of talent there. But at 64 overall, and especially if we go across position now, and I look at running back at 64 overall, guess who I'm staring at? I'm staring at a player like potentially, well, Harvey. It does kind of dry up there. Harvey, maybe a Henderson could fall in that territory. It just depends. Tootin, Harvey, Monty. Yeah, I don't know. Algier, But we go to tight end at 60, 64, right around that territory. At tight end, we're talking about Tyler Warren, Harold Fannin, Tucker Kraft. Okay. Quarterback is where I'm going to venture to say that if you were to pass on MHJ and just grab an elite QB, you're not going to miss. You're not going to miss unless the player got hurt. Lamar Jackson 50, so that's a little bit out of range. JD5 63, Joe Burrow 64, Jalen Hurts 70, Drake May 70, Herbert. Give me that player over MHJ 1,000% of the time. Well, let's say 98% of the time, actually, because I do want a share of MHJ just in case it happens. But I'm not going to avoid them altogether, so I'll take a share. So we'll say 98, 99% of the time, I'm taking that quarterback there. Now, the way I probably approach it is maybe I drafted Josh Allen earlier. So then I'm like looking around and I'm like, I don't want to take a quarterback here. It's one QB. Don't really love Monty much more, or maybe I love him less than MHJ. Let me go to the wide receivers. The problem I'd have, though, is if I'm sitting there at 60 overall and I'm looking at Mike Evans, or I'm looking at Brian Thomas Jr., or I'm looking at Jordan Tyson, and I'm looking at even DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, Parker Washington, especially Michael Wilson, who kind of almost puts this whole argument to bed. Because when I really think about it, and this is why I say I go back and forth on it, because it's just a wild conversation. Am I ever taking MHJ over Michael Wilson with Brissett back as the Cardinals starting quarterback? The answer is no. I'm never going to take MHJ over Michael Wilson. Michael Wilson is going 6-7 players below him, wide receiver spots below him. So then it's like, how do I ever find my way into an MHJ share? Maybe I will. Maybe I won't be able to. All right. Rock out. Thank you. See you tomorrow, my boy. Appreciate you.
All right, cool.
Later. Travis, final thoughts on any of that?
Yeah, just on the Cardinals, I see a couple people saying Brissett, he did all right, but he didn't win any games. Or someone else restarted halfway through the year. You have to remember, he was out there with the 26th ranked offensive line, the 29th ranked defense, no running game. So you weren't going to win games with him, no matter how good he was playing. I'm not putting those losses on Brissett. He played well enough to win games, I think. And then when you look at the numbers he put up, it was crazy. He was on pace for something like 4,700 yards. You could say, they'll run the ball more, but okay, so he's a 4,000-yard pass full season, even if they run the ball. I don't put any of those losses on Brissett.
Yeah, I don't know. I think judging Brissett off of the remarkable year he had is just a weird conversation. I just don't know how anybody can, like the Cardinals, like what is he supposed to do? He's doing everything he can. He's putting the team on his back. He's scoring late points in the third and fourth quarter. The gunslinging, turning Michael Wilson Jr. into an all-star, turning Trey McBride into the player he should have always been. I mean, what more can Brissett do? Don't blame anything on Brissett. That's just a weird conversation. Not you, Travis. All right. Anything else? We'll be back tomorrow.
Oh, that's it. Yeah,
Dynasty tomorrow. I know I didn't do one. I'll do one tomorrow. Dynasty, we got a video tomorrow. So look for that. See you all later. Appreciate you. I know some of you are trying to call in now, but the phone lines are closed. I got to draw a line here. Otherwise, we'll be here all night if I keep being a yes man. Yes. Take another call. Yes. We're cutting it off. Cutting it off. Trone says Michael Wilson and Buka are the same. Don't even start talking to Buka, bro. Come on. No, bro. No, don't make me even hit the buttons. I'm gonna walk away before I start pressing buttons on that note. See you all. Don't forget we're live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're also live at midnight Eastern almost every single night, live whenever big news breaks. See you all tomorrow. Don't forget to get on over to the 24/7, 365 live chat Patreon. It's basically an extension of the amazing, helpful live chat people that you talk to, show in and show out. So go check it out, do it live, get on over to the Patreon. And also don't forget to get on over to thefantasyfootballshow.com. thefantasyfootballshow.com. Year-round fantasy football information, breaking news, all that and more. Check it out. Chill, Smitty. You know, I don't need to chill. I'll do whatever I want, Tron. Deuce!